But uh, but yeah, Mauricio Pochettino, his first squad announcement came technically yesterday, really today, but technically yesterday because we're past midnight. Um, for the upcoming friendly games where the U.S. men's national team will play their first game under Mauricio Pochettino at the Q2 Stadium in Austin as they take on Panama. Then they move on a few days later to take on Mexico at the Akron Stadium in Guadalajara, which is never an easy game to go away to Mexico, even with this weaker Mexican national team, where they'll be taking on Mexico in a friendly game. Going back though to Mauricio Pochettino, he has announced his 25 player roster for this squad, and it's an interesting roster. We start off from goalkeepers. Four goalkeepers involved into this team. Ethan Horvath, who's right now the bench player for Cardiff City in the championship. Patrick Schulte, who had a little bit of action in goalkeeping this past international window, the Columbus Crew goalkeeper. Zach Steffen, he's back with the U.S. men's national team. Mauricio Pochettino is gonna wants to take a look at him playing now his club football in Colorado Rapids. Now the thing is here that the asterisk here with Zach Steffen is, or not the asterisk, the note I have of him being involved now with Pochettino. He is a goalkeeper, even though his shot stopping, he's pretty crap shot stopper. He is a player that's pretty, probably the best goalkeeper we have playing with the feet. And that might be an important trait for Mauricio Pochettino and something that he really, really values. So bringing in the likes of Zach Steffen, maybe it's time to get a look at him. We'll see what he has to offer. And then Matt Turner, obviously the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, the backup there as well, the number 2. He's gonna be and he's still right now probably our number 1, which is not really saying much. There's a huge problem. Going to defenders, Marlon Fossi from Stade de Liège, Christopher Lund from Palermo, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, Tim Ream, who's now playing his club football at Charlotte FC, Anthony Robinson, our left back, Fulham left back Miles Robinson, FC Cincinnati's center half, Joe Scally, Borussia Mönchengladbach's right back, probably our number 1 option at right back with the injury of Sergio Dest, and then Austin Trusty, who is the Celtic center half. He actually is a backup now for Celtic, but he had to play into the starting 11 because of the injury of Cameron Carter-Vickers, which is probably why Trusty was even in the squad in this first place. And yeah, he played in today's Champions League game, or yesterday's Champions League game, and they conceded 7 to Southampton. We go to midfielders, Brendan Aronson from Leeds, Gianluca Busio from Venezia, Jerry Cardoso from Real Betis, Weston McKennie from Juventus, Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough, Yunus Musa from AC Milan, and then Malik Tillman from PSV Eindhoven, Folarin Balogun for forwards. Sorry, I started to go to forwards without saying forwards, but for forwards you have Folarin Balogun playing for Monaco, Ricardo Pepi playing for Eindhoven, Pulisic playing for AC Milan, having a standout year, Josh Sargent playing for Norwich, Timothy Weah playing for Juventus, and Haji Wright playing for Coventry. The road to the 2026 World Cup begins in a few days now for Pochettino as this training camp gets onto the way, and we don't have that much time for between the World Cup, and we don't have World Cup qualifiers to help us prepare for that World Cup. We're automatically qualifying for the World Cup, which is, yes, a blessing. But it's also a disguise at the same time, because World Cup qualifiers, the high pressurized atmosphere of a World Cup qualifier, is a chance that you can really develop the chemistry of the team, to see which players can handle the pressure of playing for the badge of the national team, of playing for your country. Because in these international friendlies, there's no real pressure there. There's no real expectation there. Not expectation, of course there's expectation, but there's no pressure. There is no do or die aspect of it that only a World Cup qualifier can bring. So there's not much that Pochettino has to work with in terms of being able to prepare his team. He does have the Gold Cup next summer. With the Gold Cup, it's not the most, you're not playing the most, highest level of quality of teams in the Gold Cup. At the same time, are the U.S. men's national team, can they be able to take a full team to the Gold Cup? Thinking with this being Pochettino, he, first, only real tournament before the World Cup, I would think maybe Pochettino should take it seriously in the fact that you want to get the first team together, want them to develop more chemistry, want Pochettino more time to really be able to, get the, have all his tactics and all that implemented onto this team. The more time he has with the team, the better. But at the same time, it's a little difficult logistically with a lot of your top players going to be involved in that Club World Cup in the summer. That's actually also going to be hosted in the U.S. It's going to be a difficult task for Pochettino to be able to get that full team playing at the Gold Cup. But I do think the more they play, the better it'll be. I do have to say, the more that they play, the better it'll be. Yeah, no. Going back to it though, and yes, the Club World Cup will have some of the U.S. men's national team players, with the likes of Timothy Weah, Juventus being involved there. There'll be some players that, might be playing in that Club World Cup. So, that's going to be a tricky situation there. We'll see if Pochettino, at the end of the day, I think Pochettino is going to have the final say in whether or not he wants to take a full strength team to that Gold Cup to develop that chemistry, to be able to have more time to implement his tactics. But, we'll see. But again, it's very important to take every international window to maximize it, because of the limited time left till the World Cup, the limited international windows left till that home World Cup, that big World Cup, the big expectations. Being the host, there's some huge expectations there. So, being able to maximize every opportunity you get will be crucial. There is some injuries that he is having to deal with the squad. I already spoke about Cameron Carter-Vickers. You also have the likes of Sergiño Dest, who's obviously still not available into this team. You have injuries of Chris Richards as well, who's an important center half for this team. Sergiño Dest, he's still recovering from injury. I don't know if I've already said that before. There was one I was missing. Obviously, Tyler Adams. He's still not involved. With the injuries that he's having to suffer, having to deal with. He undergo back surgery, which forced him to miss the start of the season, and he's still out injured. As he's still dealing with that back injury. So, but, overall, pretty good squad, He hasn't really, had some major shakes up with the roster. think Pochettino right now, he's playing it a little bit safe. Uh, a lot of the players were involved in this summer's Copa America run. Uh, but um, but you know, I I believe in Pochettino. I believe in him. The players that he's bringing, he wants to take a look at them, and this is something that he, with bringing in a lot of these players that were involved for Copa America, he'll be able to pick out which players were part of the problem and which players are, an important part of the U.S. men's national team, and I believe in his outlook into this team. I do. Obviously, goalkeeper is going to be a massive, massive issue. We don't really have a goalkeeper period that's decent. They're all pretty bad. I can't even say they're average. They're all pretty bad. We know Matt Turner and how the reform he's been over the past year and a half. Ethan Horvath, he doesn't even play for Cardiff City. Patrick Schote, don't think he had the most dominant of Olympic games. Think he can, he's not the best shot stopper himself, and he's a young goalkeeper that's still developing. And then Zach Steffen, he's not a good shot stopper at all. He's probably only back involved because of Pochettino wanting to get a look at him because of the quality he has of playing with his feet. But in terms of shot stopping, he's pretty poor, and even in the MLS, he hasn't really been that good of a goalkeeper. So that's a major issue that Pochettino's gonna have to deal with. And I want to say how intense this U.S. men's national team come out straight off the bat in terms of the pressing, the high pressing, the playing out of the back, the putting number forwards, the high intensity, physically taxing sort of style of play. How soon do we see that dominant Mauricio Pochettino, look of a team? Do we see that from the first game? Is it something that he's going to steadily develop? I'm looking forward to that as well. But overall, I'm very, very excited. And I think with the squad, not the worst squad, obviously. Miles Robinson, he's him being involved because of the injuries. I think apart from that, no real clear cutout mistake. Maybe you can give a shout out for the likes of no, I think overall Pepe, Balogun, Pulisic, Sargent. I like Sargent still being involved. I think he gives us something a little bit different from Balogun and Pepe in terms of him being able to drop in midfield and being able to bring other players in. Haji Wright, I think that's a good player as well because he provides flexibility. He has that vertical threat as well. Apart from that, I'm not seeing any real clear cutout mistakes. I think Tanner Tessman could be a player that could slowly start getting introduced into this team because of the flexibility he has. I think he can be a center half. We know now how he plays as a holding midfielder. I think he can long-term turn into a center half, and he can definitely give you flexibility of playing both those positions. But apart from that, no real, mistake. Obviously, this is a roster that we would probably been really, really critical of if it was Greg Berhalter, because of the leverage not gained. But the leverage that, or the distrust he's created with us fans. But Pochettino right now, we have trust in him, we have faith in him, and we believe that if these are, these players, some of these players, I think will play themselves out of the roster, will train themselves out of the roster. And I think Pochettino has the vision to make this team a really, really dominant team. I do have to say.